Hello everyone. Welcome to the Civil Rights section. This is Mr. Gallagher talking about the civil rights in our Hawks United new theme for January. The theme of civil rights and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And so I'm going to talk about both. And what I have is a book I'd like to show you and tell you about that I found at the bookstore. And it's called King. Now we know that it's not King with a crown and a castle. King is his last name. I found this at the bookstore, and this is called a photobiography. Biography is a type of book that tells the story of another person's life. When you write your own story, it's called an autobiography, which means I am the writer and I am the person writing about telling my story. If it's a biography, one person writes about another person's life. Biography. A photobiography was a new word when I found this book at the bookstore. It says King, the photobiography of Martin Luther King Jr. And I know what the word biography means. I know what the word photo means, but I'd never seen the two of them put together. Photobiography, a compound word. Two words that when put together make a new word. Photobiography, photobiography. And as soon as I open the book, I realize, yes, I am correct in what I'm thinking. A photobiography is a book with lots of photographs and small amounts of words. Most books we read in class have kind of half and half, pictures and words. And then as you continue in your reading growth, the size and the amount of pictures get less until there's almost or none. In this book, a photobiography, the photos tell the story, which means almost anyone could pick up this book who is able to see. You don't have to read English. You don't have to know English, the language. You don't even have to be an advanced reader. You can be a reader like we are, learning to read, and still look at photographs and tell their story. Now, pictures that are in books that are drawn take time and effort and care, and then money to print them in color. Photo books are much more expensive than books that have drawing pictures in them. So this is an expensive book, and I couldn't believe it was on the sale table at the bookstore. This book costs $40 when it is new, and I bought this book about 15 years ago. Guess how much I paid for it? Guess. So if it's on sale, it's less than $40. Take a guess. I'll give you a hint. You only need two hands to show the price of this sale price on this book. Yeah. It means it's less than 10. And, another hint, you only need one hand. $5. I got this book for $5. And the only thing is, man, I wish I would have bought about 10 of them. Because every time I show this to a teacher, especially new teachers, they think, oh, I want that book too. You can see this is a well-loved and well-used book because the cover is just, it's a bit tattered. It's been used. That's a good sign for a book. Now before we begin, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Dr. King's name. Dr. King, his full name is Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His name has 6 parts to it. Let's talk a little bit about how his name came to be. His first name is Martin, although now we've learned his name when he was born was Michael. But when he was a younger person, he and his father changed their first name to Martin. They each changed their name. So Martin is the name his family called him. Martin, it's time for dinner. Martin, did you do your homework? Martin, get ready for school. Martin, eat your vegetables. Martin. His family name was King. That means that's the last name that people in his family used as their family name. Sometimes families have the same name and sometimes they don't. Sometimes people keep a name that was part of their personal history. King was the name he had, his mom had, his dad had, his brother and sister had. King. So he was known as Martin King. Now, he and his dad had the same name. Their middle name was Luther. Martin Luther was a famous person in religious history and world history. And the name Luther was a name that was in the middle of Martin and King. Martin Luther King. And he used his middle name, Martin Luther King. I have a middle name. I use my middle name too. Sometimes people have a middle name and sometimes they don't. It's kind of family history or family custom. You might have a middle name or you might not. Martin Luther King had that name. And because he and his dad had the same name, Junior went at the end of his name. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, when we grow up, we have jobs. It's called a career, when you choose to do something for a long time. Martin cared about religion, which is the study of God and how people believe, or some people don't believe. And Martin cared about that idea. And he went to school and studied how to be a reverend, which is a leader in church. Different names are used in different churches and synagogues and belief systems. People might go to mosque or to synagogue or to church. And depending on your religion, the leaders might be called rabbi or imam or pastor or father, bishop, or reverend. And reverend is the title he chose for his job. Reverend showed he studied religion. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Now we also know over time that Martin is and was extremely intelligent. Now he went to university, and when he went to university, he studied about religion. Now when you go to university and you study one type of information, you can get a new title called doctor. You know, there's medical doctors, the people you visit when you are sick and you get shots from or medicines from or help from if you are hurt or ill. There's another type of doctor called doctor of letters. That is someone who looks at letters in words, in sentences, in books so much that they become very smart about one special topic that they care about. And Dr. King, who went to university at the age of 15, most people are 18 when they go to university, he became a doctor of letters. And so, his full name is Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and that is who we're studying. Let me show you this book. I'm going to sit behind the camera and stay there so I can turn the pages and you can see the pictures rather than me. When I was looking in the bookstore, I saw this front cover and I looked at that photo and thought, wow, that's a really beautiful photograph of him I had never seen before. Many of Dr. King's photos are well known, like this one. It's called iconic, which means when people see it, they kind of know it right away, who it is, where it is, what was happening. And many people know this iconic photograph because it has been seen so often. This photograph was new to me. The big word king was striking, and that's when I chose to pick up the book. Charles Johnson and Bob Edelman are the curators or organizers of this book. Now, there's so many photographs to choose. I went through and I put some tabs here to help me remember to show which ones I especially want you to see. And let's start with this one. There are many famous photographs of Dr. King, but I had never seen, any time in my lifetime, a photograph of his family when he was a kid. He was in someone's class. He was a kid who went to school. He was a kid who went to church. He was a kid who played in the neighborhood. He liked baseball and basketball a lot. Here's a photograph of Dr. King's mom, his dad, his dad's mom, that was Martin's grandma, his brother Alfred, his sister Christine, and of Martin. And people believe this is about when he was about 9 or 10 years old. A family photograph. I had never seen that. And these people all lived in one house. A family that lived together and loved each other. They did family things. Went to the park, had dinner together, played in the backyard, listened to their parents, did what they should do. Now, Dr. King was a young man. He went to university. I'm going to move this over here. He went to university as a young man, very young man, 15 years old. Most people are 18 or 19 when they go to university. When he went to university, he met someone he liked. Her name was Coretta Scott. They liked each other a lot and they spent lots of time together. Eventually they realized they loved each other. And then they got married. Coretta Scott made her old last name, Scott, become her middle name. And she took his last name. So she became Coretta Scott King. And he remained Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, this photograph I find very noteworthy. I love his expression on his face. He is so happy he's getting a good wish kiss from Coretta. That is a man who is happy. And then there's the serious part of this photograph. I'll tell you the serious part too. As you are learning about Dr. King, he's someone who cares about people. He cares about people being treated fairly and equally, being treated right, being treated righteously, being treated honestly. And he believed if laws that everyone must follow actually are unfair and wrong and treat people unequally, those laws must be changed. In this photograph, Dr. King went to the court which is a place where a person called a judge makes a decision that can choose if someone is right or wrong, if what they did is right or wrong, if they followed a law or broke a law. And Dr. King went to the court to find out if he was going to go to jail because he argued and told people that a law was unfair. When he went to court that day, he was very serious because he might go home or he might go to jail that day for breaking one of those unfair laws. And in this moment, he has just found out that he was correct in arguing and not following an unjust law, and he is so happy and she is so happy. I love that photograph for the emotion in that photograph. Such beauty in their relationship and in understanding our world was changing due to his work. Now here's another photograph. Oh, no. Did I show that one? Okay, I'll show that one. Okay, yes, I'll show that one now. I love this photograph. It might be one of my favorite ones. They're in their kitchen, at their table. Look at their faces. Dr. King was a famous person, so there were times when photographers would come into their house and hang out and stay with them for a few hours or a few days and take photographs of them living their lives. Getting up, having breakfast, she has some tea, he has some tea, they have some fruit in a bowl, there's some toast on the table. And then getting ready to do the things that they would do in the day. This photograph has a story. It's 1962. She is upset. She's really, really upset. He knows she's upset. He's looking at her. She's so upset she can't even look at him. They're in their kitchen. Breakfast on the table. She's finishing her tea. He's still drinking his. There's toast on the table. They're not even eating. Upset. Do you want to know why? She's upset and worried. She's a little bit upset with him. She's very worried for him. The night before this photograph was taken, Dr. King was attacked and hurt by mean white people. Mean white racist people who thought he should just stop talking about equality. Everything was just fine. It's okay if black people couldn't go to schools or churches or movie theaters or the stores as white people did. It was okay with them. It was not okay with Dr. King. And when he tried to talk about people changing the laws, some of those angry white racist people would harm him. Really harm him. Call him names. Try to hurt him. But because he believed in non-violence, not violence, he would not fight back. So he was hurt. He was hurt in his body. He was hurt in his heart. He was hurt in his thoughts. She is upset because he was hurt last night. And he wants to continue working for equality. She knows he wants to keep working for equality. She wants him to keep working for equality, but she loves him so much. She's still upset and worried about him. This is a photograph of pure love between them. She can be upset and still love him. She can be worried and still love him because she knows he wants to and will do the right thing for all people. Here's another photograph. 3 photographs on this page. Here's that one. And that one. And that one. What I love about these photographs is these photographs remind us when we see these that although Dr. King was an incredible human being and a remarkable leader and statesman and wise person, he was a person. He was someone's son. He was someone's husband. He was someone's brother. He was someone's neighbor. And he was 4 people's dad. He had 4 children with Coretta Scott. This picture shows 3 of the children, and Coretta Scott is waiting for her 4th child, Bernice, who would be born later. This picture shows his family having dinner. And this picture surprised me. I know Coretta Scott was a musician and a singer. But look, he's playing the piano. I never knew that Dr. King knew how to play the piano. He's playing the piano with his family. His wife, he, and 2 of his children. I didn't know he could play the piano. He was someone's dad. That means in this picture, in addition to leading people and the world to be fair and equal, when he came home to 4 people, he was just dad. Push me, Daddy. Push me more.